Jake Reeves, a 38-year-old architect, stepped off the plane in Miami after a grueling week in Tampa. The salty breeze hit him as he drove home, eager to see Emily, his wife of 8 years. She'd texted him earlier, "Missed you. Dinner's ready." He smiled, picturing her in their beachfront condo, her dark hair tied back, stirring something on the stove. They'd build a good life together, or so he thought. That night, after Emily drifted off beside him, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Jake glanced over, expecting a work email. She managed campaigns for a big ad firm downtown. Instead, the screen lit up with a name he didn't recognize, Chris. The preview read, "Can't wait for tomorrow, babe." His stomach twisted. Who the hell was Chris? He hesitated, but suspicion gnawed at him. Unlocking her phone with the passcode she'd never bothered to hide, her birthday, he scrolled through the thread. His heart sank with every word. "Missed you last night. You're incredible." A photo of a positive pregnancy test followed by, "It's ours." Jake's breath caught. Pregnant? They hadn't been intimate in months. His projects kept him on the road too much. This wasn't his. Fury rising, he dug deeper. Chris wasn't the only one. Messages from Ryan and Matt, both co-workers from her agency, painted a vivid picture. Flirty banter. Late-night meetups. One even bragged, "She's wilder than I expected." Emily had been juggling 3 men behind his back, and one of them had gotten her pregnant. The woman he'd trusted with everything had turned his life into a lie. Jake stumbled to the bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. The mirror reflected a man he barely recognized. Eyes hollow, jaw clenched. How long had this been going on? He thought of their wedding on Key West, her laugh as they danced barefoot in the sand. Was it all fake? He needed proof. Grabbing his laptop, he hired a private investigator on the spot, wiring the deposit with shaking hands. "Find out everything," he typed. Fast. 2 days later, the PI's email landed like a punch. Photos. Emily slipping into a hotel with Chris, a slick-haired guy in a suit. Another of her laughing with Ryan at a bar. A third with Matt, arm around her waist, outside her office. The clincher? A DNA test Jake had demanded from a clinic, using a hairbrush she'd left behind. The baby wasn't his, not even close. The report burned in his hands as he read it, each line a dagger. But there was more. The PI had dug into Chris, a married guy from her firm, one of Jake's old college buddies. They grabbed beers together last year, laughed about old times. Now, Chris was sleeping with his wife. The betrayal cut deeper than he'd imagined, a personal wound layered over the wreckage of his marriage. Jake's rage boiled over, but he forced it down. Screaming wouldn't fix this. He needed a plan. He confronted her that night. Emily was in the kitchen, humming, when he dropped the photos on the counter. "Explain this," he said, voice low and steady. Her face drained of color. "Jake, I can explain," she stammered, reaching for him. He stepped back. "Don't touch me. You're pregnant, and it's not mine." "How many, Emily?" "3? More." She crumpled, tears spilling. "I was lonely. You were always gone. I didn't mean." "Save it," he snapped, cutting her off. "I'm done. You'll hear from my lawyer." He grabbed his keys and walked out, the slam of the door echoing behind him. In the car, he called Mark Lawson, his attorney. "File for divorce. Tomorrow." Mark didn't hesitate. "Got it. We'll hit her hard, prenup's ironclad. She gets nothing." As Jake sped toward a hotel, his phone buzzed, Emily, begging him to come back. He blocked her number. She'd played him for a fool, but he wasn't breaking. Not yet. Chris's smug face flashed in his mind, and a dark thought took root. This wasn't just about divorce. He'd make them all pay legally, publicly, mercilessly. Emily thought she could talk her way out? She learned soon enough. Jake Reeves didn't lose quietly. Jake Reeves sat in the Miami courthouse, his hands gripping the armrest of the wooden chair. The air was thick with tension, the hum of whispers filling the room. A week had passed since he'd walked out on Emily, and now he faced her across the aisle. She looked smaller somehow, her dark hair pulled back, eyes red from crying. He didn't care. The photos, the DNA test, Chris's betrayal, they burned in his mind, fueling his resolve. Today, he'd end this. Mark Lawson, his lawyer, stood first, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Your Honor, my client seeks an immediate divorce. The evidence is clear. Mrs. Reeves engaged in multiple affairs, resulting in a pregnancy that is not my client's. The prenup entitles her to nothing. We ask for a swift ruling." Judge Elena Ortiz, a stern woman with sharp eyes, nodded, flipping through the file. Jake felt a flicker of hope. This could be quick. Then Emily's lawyer, a wiry man named Paul Grayson, rose. Your Honor, my client acknowledges her mistakes but believes this marriage can be salvaged. She requests mandatory counseling to explore reconciliation for the sake of the child. Jake's jaw tightened. Reconciliation? After she'd slept with half her office? He wanted to shout, but Mark's hand on his shoulder kept him quiet. Emily dabbed her eyes, playing the victim. It made his skin crawl. Judge Ortiz leaned forward. Mrs. Reeves, you admit to infidelity? Emily's voice trembled. Yes, Your Honor. I was lonely. Jake was always working. I regret it. I just want a chance to fix us. The judge's gaze shifted to Jake. Mr. Reeves, your response? He stood, voice steady despite the storm inside. I don't want to fix anything. She betrayed me with 3 men. One was my friend. That child isn't mine. I'm done. A gasp rippled through the room, but he kept his eyes on Ortiz. The judge scribbled a note. I see strong emotions here, but also a child's welfare to consider. I'm ordering 4 weeks of counseling, 2 sessions a week. Attendance is mandatory. We'll reconvene after. Jake's stomach dropped. Your Honor, Mark cut him off, whispering, we'll work with it. Stay calm. Ortiz's gavel banged, finalizing the nightmare. Counseling with Emily? He'd rather swim with sharks. The first session was 3 days later in a cramped office downtown. Dr. Laura Bennett, a calm woman with glasses, sat across from them, notepad in hand. Emily fidgeted beside him, twisting her scarf. Jake stared at the wall, arms crossed. Let's start, Bennett said. Emily, what do you hope to achieve? Emily took a shaky breath. I want Jake to see I'm sorry. I love him. We can raise this baby together, be a family again. Her words hit like nails on a chalkboard. Jake's fists clenched. Bennett turned to him. Jake, your thoughts? He met her gaze, cold and unyielding. I'm here because I have to be. She cheated, lied, and got pregnant by someone else. I don't love her. I don't want her family. I want out. Emily sobbed, but he didn't flinch. Bennett jotted something down. I understand your anger, but communication might, he cut her off. I'm communicating. She's a liar. That's all I've got. The session dragged on, Emily pleading, Jake stonewalling. Bennett's pen never stopped moving. After, Mark met him outside. She's pushing the poor me act hard. We need leverage. Jake nodded, an idea sparking. What if we flip it? Prove she's still lying. Mark raised an eyebrow. How? Jake pulled out his phone, showing a text from the PI. Caught her meeting Chris yesterday. Photos attached. Emily hadn't stopped. She was still sneaking around, even now. This changes everything, Mark said, grinning. She's digging her own grave. Back in court a week later, Mark pounced. Your Honor, new evidence shows Mrs. Reeves continues her affair with Christopher Tate, despite her pleas for reconciliation. These photos, timestamped 2 days ago, prove it. He slid the images across, Emily and Chris at a cafe, his hand on hers. Paul Grayson stammered. This is, circumstantial. Ortiz's eyes narrowed. It's damning, Mr. Grayson. Mrs. Reeves, care to explain? Emily crumbled. It's not what it looks like. We were just talking. Jake leaned forward, voice low but firm. You're a fraud, Emily. Always have been. The room buzzed as Ortiz banged her gavel. Counseling continues, but this weighs heavily. I'll review everything after the sessions. Next hearing in 3 weeks. Jake walked out, pulse racing. Emily's lies were unraveling, and he'd make sure they buried her. She thought she could manipulate him again? Not this time. He'd play their game a better. Jake Reeves sat in Dr. Laura Bennett's office for the second counseling session, the air heavy with unspoken resentment. Emily perched on the edge of her chair, hands twisting a tissue, her eyes darting to him then away. He kept his face blank, phone discreetly recording in his pocket. Judge Ortiz had ordered this charade, but Jake wasn't here to reconcile, he was here to win. The photos of Emily with Chris from last week were his ace, and he'd play it smart. Bennett cleared her throat. Let's dive in. Emily, what do you want Jake to understand today? Emily's voice wavered. I want him to know I'm trying. I ended things with everyone. I just need him to trust me again. Jake's lips twitched. Trust? After she'd been caught with Chris days ago? He stayed silent, letting her dig deeper. Bennett nodded. Jake, your turn. What do you feel? He leaned forward, voice steady. I feel like she's lying. Again. She says it's over, but I've got proof it's not. Emily's head snapped up, eyes wide. What proof? Jake pulled out his phone, tapping play on a short audio clip the PI had snagged. Emily's voice, soft and flirty. Chris, I miss you. Let's meet tomorrow. The room froze. Emily's face paled. That's fake, she sputtered. Bennett's pen paused, her brow furrowing. It's not fake, Jake said, calm but cutting. You met him last week. I've got photos, timestamps, everything. You're not sorry. You're just scared of losing. Emily's tears came fast, but he saw through them now. Jake, please. He cut her off. Save it for the judge. Bennett intervened, voice even. This is serious. Emily, is this true? She stammered. It was just coffee. I swear. Jake smirked. Coffee didn't sound like, I miss you. Bennett scribbled furiously. I'll need to report this to the court. Jake, you're clearly not open to reconciliation. Emily, your actions contradict your words. Jake stood, grabbing his jacket. Good. Write that down. I'm done here. He walked out, leaving Emily sobbing. Step 1, complete. The counselor's report with torture case. Back at his hotel, Mark Lawson grinned over the phone. Brilliant move. That audio's gold, shows she's still playing games. We'll bury her in court. Jake paced, adrenaline pumping. She's not stopping, Mark. I want more. Something undeniable. Mark paused. Risky, but I've got an idea. What if we push her to slip up again on record? Jake's eyes narrowed. Set it up. 2 days later, the PI delivered. He tailed Emily to a bar where she met Ryan, another of her flings. A hidden mic caught her ranting. Jake's ruining me. If I can't get him back, I'll make him pay. Maybe say he's hiding money. Jake listened to the file, a cold smile spreading. She was plotting to frame him now? Perfect. Send it to Mark, he told the PI. She's done. The next session loomed. Jake arrived early, slipping Bennett a USB drive before Emily walked in. Listen to this later, he said. It's her real plan. Bennett nodded, tucking it away. Emily entered, composed this time, a faint smirk on her lips. Jake, I've been thinking, she began, voice syrupy. Maybe we can settle this privately. I'd hate for things to get messy. Bennett raised an eyebrow. Jake played along. Messy how? Oh, you know, Emily said, leaning closer. Rumors. Money disputes. I could make it tough for you. Jake's pulse spiked. She was threatening him. Right here. He glanced at Bennett, who was already writing. Interesting, Bennett said. Emily, are you suggesting something illegal? Emily backpedaled fast. No. Just options. But the damage was done. After, Bennett pulled Jake aside. That USB, her saying she'd frame you, it's explosive. Combined with today, it's clear she's not sincere. My report's going to recommend ending this marriage for everyone's sake. Jake exhaled, relief washing over him. Thanks, document. That's all I needed. He left, the trap snapping shut. Emily thought she could outsmart him, but she just handed him the win. The courtroom loomed in a week. Mark prepped the new evidence, audio, photos, Bennett's report. She's toast, he said. Ortiz won't ignore this. Jake nodded, imagining Emily's face when it all crashed down. She'd lied, cheated, and now threatened him. He'd expose her, legally and completely. Freedom was close. He could taste it. Jake Reeves stood outside the Miami courthouse, the sun blazing overhead as he adjusted his tie. Today was the final hearing. 3 weeks of counseling had ended, and Dr. Bennett's report sat like a loaded gun in Mark Lawson's briefcase. Emily's lies, her threats, her secret meetings with Chris and Ryan, it was all there, recorded and documented. Jake's pulse thrummed with anticipation. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. It was about justice. Inside, the room buzzed with tension. Emily sat with her lawyer, Paul Grayson, her face pale but defiant. She'd stopped crying, replaced her tears with a tight-lipped glare. Jake met her stare, unflinching. Judge Ortiz took her seat, her sharp gaze sweeping the room. I've reviewed the counselor's report and new evidence, she began, voice firm. Let's hear from the petitioner first. Mark stood, exuding confidence. Your Honor, Mrs. Reeves has continued her infidelity during these proceedings. Photos and audio prove it. She's met with Christopher Tate and Ryan Ellis, despite claiming remorse. Worse, she threatened to frame my client for financial misconduct, caught on tape. Dr. Bennett recommends dissolving this marriage immediately. We request a divorce per the prenup. No alimony, no delays. He slid the evidence across, photos, transcripts, the USB drive. Grayson leapt up, flustered. This is a smear campaign. My client met those men as friends, nothing more. The audio's out of context. Ortiz raised an eyebrow, flipping through Bennett's report. Dr. Bennett writes, Mrs. Reeves shows no genuine intent to reconcile. Her actions suggest manipulation. Explain that, Mr. Grayson. Emily cut in, voice shrill. I was stressed. Jake's twisting everything. I love him. Her desperation rang hollow. Ortiz held up a hand. Enough. I've heard the recording. I'll make him pay isn't love, Mrs. Reeves. The evidence is overwhelming. She paused, eyes locking on Emily. Divorce granted. No alimony. Your income exceeds Mr. Reeves, and the prenup stands. Assets split per agreement. Case closed. The gavel banged, a thunderclap of finality. Jake exhaled, relief flooding him. It was over. But the reckoning didn't stop there. Word spread fast. Emily's agency fired her that week. A client recognized Chris in the leaked photos, sparking a PR nightmare. Her name hit local gossip blogs. Addict's sex affair implodes marriage. Jake didn't spread it, didn't need to. Her own choices did the work. Then came the ripple effect. Ryan's wife filed for divorce, posting the bar audio online. It went viral, 50,000 views in a day. Chris's wife followed, leaving him with a lawyer's bill and an empty house. Emily's web of deceit unraveled publicly, brutally. A week later, Jake grabbed coffee near the beach when his phone buzzed. Emily calling from a new number. He answered, curious. Jake, please, she begged, voice cracking. I've got nothing. Job's gone, rent's due, the baby's coming. Help me. He sipped his drink, calm. You made your bed, Emily. Lie in it. He hung up, blocking her again. She'd chased sympathy too long. Now she'd face reality. The fallout peaked 2 days later. A grainy video hit social media. Chris's wife, Tara, confronting Emily outside a grocery store. You ruined my family, Tara shouted, tossing a soda can at Emily's feet. It splashed across her shoes, not a punch, but a public shaming. Bystanders filmed, jeering. Emily fled, head down, the clip racking up views. Jake watched it once, a grim satisfaction settling in. He hadn't orchestrated this. Her victims had. Karma didn't need his help. Mark called that night. You see the video? She's a pariah now. Prenup held. No appeals possible. You're free. Jake leaned back, staring at the ocean from his new apartment. Good. She's out of my life. He'd kept it clean. Legal moves, hard evidence. Emily's ruin was her own doing. A consequence she couldn't dodge. The condo, the lies, Chris's smug grin. It all faded as the waves crashed below. Emily's final play came a month later. She showed up at his door, belly swollen, eyes hollow. Jake, I'll drop the sob story. Just give me a loan, $5,000. I'm desperate. He crossed his arms. Not my problem. Ask Chris. Or Ryan. Or the guy who knocked you up. Her face twisted. You're heartless. He shrugged. You taught me how. Goodbye, Emily. He shut the door, the lock clicking with finality. She banged once, then silence. Jake turned away, the weight lifting. She'd lost everything. Job, reputation, allies, while he'd kept his dignity. The trap had tightened, not with fists but with truth. He'd won, fair and square. Jake Reeves leaned against the railing of his new balcony, the Miami skyline glowing under a pink sunset. 2 months had passed since the divorce, and the chaos of Emily's world felt like a distant storm. He'd traded the condo for this smaller place, fewer memories, more peace. The ocean stretched out below, a steady rhythm that matched his breathing. For the first time in a year, he felt light, free. The aftermath had unfolded fast. Emily's life imploded, job gone, reputation trashed, her affair saga still trending online. Last he'd heard, she'd moved into a cramped apartment, juggling diapers and debt. Chris and Ryan faced their own reckonings, divorces, lawyers, angry exes. Jake hadn't lifted a finger to fuel it. Their choices had built the bonfire. He'd just watched it burn. Mark Lawson called it poetic justice. Jake called it closure. He'd started over, piece by piece. Work picked up, new clients, a beachfront hotel project. Nights weren't silent anymore, thanks to Sarah, a 34-year-old graphic designer he'd met at a gallery opening. She was sharp, funny, with a laugh that cut through his old scars. They'd bonded over coffee, then dinners, then long walks by the water. She knew his story, bits of it, anyway, and never pried. You're tougher than you look, she'd said once, grinning. He liked that. But Emily wasn't done haunting him. A week ago, she'd texted from yet another number. Jake, I need to see you. One last time. Against his better judgment, he'd agreed. Public place, daylight, no games. They met at a busy cafe near the pier. She looked worn, hair limp, eyes shadowed, a stroller beside her. The baby slept, tiny fists curled. Jake felt nothing, no anger, no pity, just distance. I'm not here to fight, she started, voice low. I've lost everything, my career, my friends. The baby's dad won't even call back. I'm sorry, Jake. Really sorry. He sipped his coffee, unmoved. You said that in court. Didn't mean it then, either. She winced. I did. I messed up. I thought you'd take me back. He set the cup down, firm. You thought wrong. You cheated, lied, tried to frame me. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. Emily's lip trembled, but she pressed on. I'm asking for help. $2,000. Just to get by? You're doing fine. I saw your new place online. Jake's eyes narrowed. She'd been stalking him? Not my problem, he said. You've got no claim on me. Figure it out. She reached for his hand. He pulled back. Goodbye, Emily. He stood, leaving cash for the bill, not her. She didn't follow. That night, Sarah came over, carrying takeout and a sketchbook. Rough day? She asked, catching his quiet mood. He nodded, tossing his keys on the counter. Emily showed up, begged for money. Same old manipulation. Sarah set the food down, her gaze steady. You okay? He exhaled, a faint smile breaking through. Yeah, she's not my burden anymore. You are, though, stuck with me now. She laughed, nudging him. Terrible fate. The real test came 2 days later. Jake was locking his car when Emily appeared, stroller in tow, fury in her eyes. You think you're better than me? She snapped, loud enough for heads to turn. I'll tell everyone you abandoned us. Sarah, stepping out of the passenger side, didn't hesitate. Lady, you abandoned him. Cheated, lied, the works. Back off. Emily lunged, not at Jake but Sarah, swinging a wild hand. Sarah sidestepped, calm but firm. Try that again, and I'm calling the cops. Emily froze, onlookers staring. Jake pulled out his phone. She's right. Leave, or I dial. Emily's bravado cracked. She grabbed the stroller and stormed off, muttering curses. A bystander clapped. Good riddance, they said. Jake pocketed the phone, turning to Sarah. You didn't have to do that. She shrugged. Team effort. She's gone now. He squeezed her hand, grateful. The next morning, a package arrived, an envelope with no return address. Inside, his old wedding ring, scratched and dull, with a note. Keep it. I'm done. Emily's handwriting. Jake stared at it, then walked to the balcony. The ring glinted once before he tossed it into the waves below, a final goodbye to the past. Sarah joined him, resting her head on his shoulder. Symbolic, she teased. Cheesy, but symbolic. Jake grinned, the horizon stretching wide. Emily's chaos had forged this. Clarity, strength, a fresh start. She'd face her consequences alone, while he built something real. The sun dipped low, and he knew. He'd won, not with hate, but with truth.